Okay, let's see. Extra recording. Perfect. Okay, I see Tracy's trying to jump on. Okay, I think we are a go.
Cool.
Excellent. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for being here today. We are at the AI Hotline podcast. I'm your host this evening with April Elias, Heather Gazar, and Joshua Sun. And today we're going to chat about some of the latest things that are happening in the AI world and have some fun discussions. How are you, ladies and gentlemen?
Good. Thank you.
Good.
Good.
Awesome.
Good. Thank you.
Awesome. So, who watched the last Google I/O? I think it was yesterday, if I'm not wrong. Um, did you guys get to watch that or seen any of the news?
I saw snippets of it and it's actually pretty insane. So the little things that I was able to consume in the cracks of time of doing everything else and trying to keep up just in general, it's pretty insane and it definitely changes the game for a lot of us and the way that we work and the way that we think. And also, a lot of the big tech giants or the tech companies are just making significant investments in AI, generative AI, and stuff is changing so fast. It's just it's mind blowing. And as soon as you feel like you get up to speed, then you're like, oh, then there's this. But yeah, I did see a little bit of it. Did anyone
Nice.
else?
No, I caught some conversation with some people who were watching it, and they were like, "Have you tried this?" So now I have a whole list of things to try now.
Yes, it's always the way it is. It's always the way it is.
Yeah, it's always fun feeling left behind every time there's a big new update, especially in this area.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things that I actually started using the past month was I think I mentioned in our first episode was having more inside Gemini rather than like ChatGPT for some deep research, and a lot of it has come where like I've been combining Gemini for the deep research on different locations here in Florida for kind of like trends and what's happening in the market, and then use that to put it into ChatGPT for even a deeper research. So some areas that obviously Miami is being built out left and right, a lot of development happening here. But one of the interesting parts that I found out is just being able to combine those two models um, to even have like a deeper understanding of whatever topic you're searching. So I started doing that more and more this last month, and all those reports then put them into Notebook LM and really consume that information in a such a faster manner that I think that's going to be my new tech stack in terms of my new AI stack, I guess we can call that, right?
Yeah.
In order to like learn a lot quicker, because now I can ask, you can in Notebook LM you can I don't know if you guys know, but like you can actually interact with the reports in the conversation in the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny, you're holding a conversation with AI on this super deep research. Have you guys had any experience on doing that, or have you guys used it?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll let somebody else go first. Has anybody else used the Notebook LM or want to speak on that?
Well, I was just gonna say we were just talking about that either today or yesterday,
Yeah, we
and we
were.
were talking about it like in terms of like being able to handle the information within our company, like for different projects and splitting it up and being able to train our team because I'm going through a lot of team training right now, and to be able to just like have all of the go high level documentation kind of like added in and have it be a more robust search platform than just Googling.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I've also I have my 19 and my 21-year-old. I'm throwing, everything on them too, and I'm like consume this, learn this alongside of me. And today, or it was either today or yesterday, I don't know, my days are running together. I showed my youngest son because what I needed him to do is he's going to start shooting
He's
our
going to.
oh, there's an echo. Sorry.
It's
There's
Tracy.
he's going they're doing the audio and the visuals and the camera, the videography for our workshop. So I was like, I want you to learn some of these like tips and tricks to help like proactively avoid any kind of mistakes during recording our workshops. And so I threw a bunch of stuff into Notebook LM, and I was like, bring me your laptop. I threw it in there and I was like, look, in the middle, you can interact with everything that you put in there. The source could be
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, it could be a link, it could be copy and paste, like all kinds of stuff. Said, and then we hit a button, and all of it ended up only being like a 7-minute podcast, like that he would listen to. And he was like, oh my gosh, I put much stuff in there and I was listening to it at the gym. He's like, I understand everything so much more quickly. So I think, and then he's like, none of my friends are using this. He's like, I'm telling all of my friends about this. But I thought it was cool because people learn in different ways. Like some people love to read, some people love to watch like visual videos. And he's like me where I can listen, right? Like I like to listen more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that's just going to help him get up to speed more quickly in all of the little areas that he works in too, because he also works on a faceless YouTube channel. So there's always cool new stuff coming out for that too. But yeah, it's a great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on Thursdays I usually have we call it inside meetings at my agency, and for the past month and a half, every Thursday I showcase something to my team just to like get them up to speed with like what's going on. And Notebook LM was the number one tool that I showed them. I even showed them the live questions that I was asking. We were able to get buyer personas. We were able to get the different like styles that those buyer personas actually enjoy buying or are looking for in a brand. Um, what kind of conversations they're having, right? And then what this serves is to precisely like strengthen your marketing, strengthen like who your target audience is on your messaging, on emails, on advertising, social media content for that matter. So it is definitely the way to go right now, at least for me, in order to get like really through with like what your strategy would be. I see we have Ross on the comments here on the chat. He says, um, looks like they're working on merging search and AI to make it more conversational. I think is a good bridge for them to hold value in search and converge it into AI and Gemini. Getting context on your own documents and making them conversational is smart, kind of like Poppy AI, but I haven't dug into a Notebook LM yet. Yeah, exactly. So, oh, there we go. Ross works on Josh's team. All right, so shout out Ross.
Nice.
Excellent. So yeah, a lot of good stuff coming from Google. Honestly, I think they have been they were the laughing stock a few months ago, and now they're like I think they're coming swinging. I mean, the video generations that you can do now in that thing, the VO3, um, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. The whole also the 3D versioning. I think they call it Google Beam, where you can literally be on. I think it's going to be some sort of like screen that you camera wise. It literally feels or looks like you can literally like look around the person, right? So pretty cool stuff coming out of Google.
Yeah, because they were definitely behind, or it felt like they were behind, especially starting with Bard. It was like, what is this? Why are you even trying? and then I feel like they needed to wash that image off and change to Gemini, and they've been doing good ever since. Because I remember like early on, it was constantly OpenAI and Anthropic, and then other people started, filling in and starting to compete in this space. And it's just interesting the big companies that make investments in those. And I think I was talking with Heather. Heather and I talk every day, and we have so many ideas, and they're great conversations. And I was like, well, you can really notice the who's investing in what, because if you ask for a document in ChatGPT, it comes out as Word, right? And so you can say you can see that Microsoft made that investment, and OpenAI is like leaning towards Microsoft products. So I'm somebody who's also I'm in a Microsoft Teams environment, and then I'm a lot in a Google environment just on my personal workspace. And it's I wanted to say let me cut one loose, but I don't want to get out of the Microsoft products because of the stuff that they're doing too. And it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of fun to see.
So um, something that's funny between, or not funny, but I think they had like a new release on the Copilot. If I'm not wrong, I think they opened
Mhm.
it to the public. So I'm really, um, I guess you could say, interested in seeing what the battle between these like companies is going to be. I mean, Microsoft, as you mentioned, is pretty deep ingrained um, into OpenAI's partnership. So um, I'm just wondering, what's it gonna be? What is they're gonna be their angle? I don't know if you've used Microsoft Copilot in your within what your job your W2 April.
Yeah, I haven't used much Copilot in that sense, but what's interesting to see is the competition, like the competitiveness of it, what it forces out, right? Like what it forces to create. And so I I think that's why we're like so mind blown every other day or every other week it feels like is because
Right.
they're excuse me, competing at a super high level.
Yeah, yeah. So I had a question for Heather in regards to this. So right now, I know you've been going with Manus. That's kind of like your go-to, seems like. Have you used Cursor? Have you used any of these other tools in order to build part of the stuff that you're doing?
Hmm. So I'm experimenting on using like part of it for one piece of it, and then like one thing for one piece and then moving over to another section. So like one thing that I've started doing is building in Lovable, which is a lot better with the UI interface. And then Manus doesn't really like, that's a React site. So with in regards to programming, it basically makes the code for the website really flat. So like the it can't be read by another tool, with including SEO. It's not really that great for SEO. You have to do a lot of special stuff to a React site. So that's why I'm not building anything big and lovable right now, because it would be better to just do a static HTML website for clients that, where they need the SEO discoverability. Um, but I'm taking screenshots from Lovable designs and putting it over into Manus because Manus actually works really well with screenshots. And as far as Cursor goes, Cursor is pretty decent as far as I did experiment with that a little bit. It goes so fast. Like if you're in there, it's just like, and like my brain doesn't even comprehend what you're doing. Like slow down. So it was a little wild to get in there and like see it coding right in front of me, but the faster it goes, the faster it can get off track too. So it's like, oh, it's going like off into left field, and then I have to bring it back and send it in a new direction. But it's already done all this work because I couldn't catch it. So that's one thing with these coding systems is like you have to be babysitting right now, especially if
Right.
you don't have a good tackle or like a good grasp on the prompts that you're giving it. I'm pretty loosey goosey with prompts sometimes, which is probably why I like Manus the best because it actually reads it better. Like it will understand my vague prompts better than any other system.
That's cool. That's cool. I see we got Ross in the chat saying that we're developing and testing synthetic content now for Joshua's social. Joshua,
Ooh.
what do you got there? That sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ross is my creative director, and he's was into AI before a lot of other people were. And the way we're using it right now for social media is he's basically cloning my voice and then using it to create just like audios. And he's testing different things
I
out,
think
and it's
I don't know
the
if
he
am I the only one or
oh,
No, I think we lost
can
him.
you
I
hear me?
think his
lost him?
connection might be a
Yeah,
little
it's going in and
unstable,
out.
but I
Sorry.
think where he might have been going is doing his the video clone. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry. Can you
Avatar.
guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, we're basically, or Ross is using AI to clone my voice and to create synthetic content like audio. And so that once we get it to the, place where it's like really good and sounds just like me, then he can use it to make content without me being involved. Then
Yeah, I
he
think we
could just
lost
give
him
it a
again.
script and make
Yeah.
content.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of that precisely. Yeah, so cloning your voice, making it sound more like you, and getting to a
Hmm.
point where like it feels a little more natural. Because yeah, I've seen a lot of creators starting to do that. Obviously, especially in the AI space and whatnot. But even like I've seen fitness influencers actually start like adopting that a lot. So a lot of creators are going in that route. So
I experimented with InVideo this past week, and it was
mhm,
really cool because you can do a voice clone through that, and then you can actually create AI video
mhm.
and have it be in certain styles. So it was cool to play around with because you can really control the content like frame by frame through InVideo.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that. And that's what my youngest son Colin uses for his faceless channel. He creates the content mostly using in video, and he's like he loves it. But then he's also constantly, checking out the latest things. And so we're also playing around with more of like, should we pursue a little bit of, faceless coupled with some maybe like AI video clones? Let's dial the voice in, because I feel like people can sometimes be a little bit forgiving on the video as long as the audio is really good and easy to listen to. Because a lot of
Mhm.
people are just like multitasking anyway. But if it's annoying to listen to, then it's like, I'm going to switch off of that.
Yeah, totally right. So one of the things that I keep also looking at is how people can go into social media without necessarily being in social media. Like if they don't know how to create it, they don't feel comfortable with it. But I think overall the notion of being able to actually put out like good content, they need to understand that before, at least from my view, right? Because you can create a lot of stuff with AI, but it's not going to be or sound natural. So getting in that like routine of the posting, the actually like seeing what works, and then like enhancing yourself with AI is where the game is, I think. Because if not, you're gonna create a lot of, let's not lack of a better term, trashy content, and
Oh
that's not
yeah.
necessarily what you want.
Yeah. Well, I did see this interesting article. I forget where it was because I see and watch and read so many things, but they were saying how like major brands are starting to adopt like AI influencers.
Hmm.
And so it's like an evergreen influencer that never quits, never, but they've monetized them, and that influencer persona ends up like making, tens of millions of dollars. And I don't they're like major companies, like I don't want to say like Pepsi or Coke, or maybe it was Ray-Ban or Cadillac. I forget who it was. I don't know exactly who it was, but there were two major brands like that that certainly embraced that. And we're like, well, now we have this influencer that looks totally like a person, right? And she'll always look the same, and we can dress her how we want. She's, you're never going to be late. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. And I mean, it's cool, but it's scary and it's a little creepy. But I think they're just like, we'll start to get desensitized to some of that, and it might become more of the norm. But I think there's always going to be that craving for that real, uncut, like human interaction on some level for sure.
Yeah, I think piggybacking on that, I think people are just gonna get used to it. It's
Yeah.
something new at the moment, but I think people are just gonna get used to it.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a matter of them seeing it enough times where like eventually they're just gonna go with it, right? Go with the flow there. The tricky part of that is, how do you know when, now at what point is it, how do you know it's real or not? Or how do you not get manipulated into things because it looks so real? So like that's another layer of like, I guess, security that needs to be figured out. Because at some point, good things can come out of it, but like even at a 10% of the bad actors coming in and like actually using it for the wrong, is going to also disrupt certain industries because of the interaction 101 type of feeling.
It's already there. It's probably just more expensive programs that aren't mainstream. Because
Hmm.
Mr. Wonderful got up and one of the Aspire, I think it was December 2023, he got up and showed a video through AI of him speaking in different languages. And it looked exactly like him. It was perfect. Like you couldn't even tell it wasn't like the recording of it. And that was what, a year and a half ago. So, but he had gone through, I think, some French company or something and spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to get there. So the
Right.
technology is out there. It's just when will it, start infiltrating the tools that we're using?
Well, yeah, eventually it's going to become cheap, a lot cheaper. And those who win are not going to be the ones that are hopping on that train. Is going to be like know how to strategize around it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, just in general, what do people like clients or whatever, what do they ask you guys the most for in their business? What would you say is the most common request?
So, well, in my business, because I focus a lot more on the lead generation, that's mostly the service that I do.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of lead generation, a lot of just strategizing how to get somebody that doesn't know you at all into your pipeline, into your funnel, into a sales call. So that's the number one thing that I get asked for. Um, and precisely that's why content is so big, right? Because like essentially you need content in order to generate any sort of traction for people to know you and then come to you, or you go the paid route. But even the paid route, you can also create these avatars essentially that will also create curiosity and a lot more targeted. Wow, there's thunders out here.
I'm glad that didn't happen while I was there. I felt like I was in and out. There was no time to even do anything.
Yeah, that's Miami.
Yeah, we had sunshine. Yeah, but it was, yeah.
How about you, Heather? What are some of the things that you get asked?
I haven't gotten much AI requests. I think most of it's been like chatbot or how can
Mhm.
we speed up things, not so much like AI agents. I wish I would get some requests for that. So if anybody has any requests, like feel free to DM me because I'm really excited to like build one out in an actual use case. But most of the time mine is more automations and systems because the people who are coming to me are still in the phase like 1 or 2 or 3 of their build out, and AI is really coming in at like phase 4 or 5, where you already have all those foundational systems in place and you're just fine tuning or adding in that layer of actual artificial intelligence into your automations.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
most of the stuff I work on is more it's either bot or agent related, specialized agent related for the most part, and then just AI to enhance any part of the workflow.
Yeah, so in terms of some of the things that you guys are working on, right? What's something that's currently very exciting that you have shared that people have given you like good feedback on and that they should be aware of?
Are you talking about between April and I? Because I feel like that's the stuff that I'm most excited about. Because we talked.
Yeah, exactly. Talk a little bit about it. I feel like you guys just skimmed through it at the beginning, so I want to hear what you guys got going on. I'm sure
How
everybody else will do it too.
So I kind of think of our stuff as like this top secret government lab that we're just like talking every day and like building a list for it. And really, we just need a team to implement everything because we have all the concepts there. It's just trying to figure out how we're going to execute.
Yeah. But we're chipping away at it. Heather's scaling her team. I have my operator who's like amazing and she's also a creative. And so we're chipping away and getting things done because then it gets stuff out of the way. So I can get back to building a little bit more. And I think I could bring her up to speed because mine's, again, the low code, no code. I'm not deep diving like Heather is. She's got some amazing complementary skills to mine, like, and she goes places that I wouldn't even try. But it's really exciting stuff that we're working on because we bring different pieces together, and it's like 1 and 1 really equals like 50, and it's and sometimes I'm just like I would want to clear my day and just work on what we talked about that particular moment. But we are crossing things off the list, but then we're also adding a bunch more as our ideas evolve, and so it's exciting, and being in this kind of like collaborative, creative space that you can also weave tech in and solve business problems and have like this meaningful impact. It's more than just like, oh, these are some cool tools. It really creates a big difference. And that's part of what I think is super exciting and just inspiring to like get up and want to keep doing it. And so I don't watch TV at all. I literally like, and I haven't watched TV for a really long time. I mean, like some things will squeak in there, but my husband's like watching a series. I was like, nope. And I'll put my earbuds in and just catch up on stuff because it's fun to learn. It's fun to learn and put it into practice.
Definitely. I see here Ross, you're messaging over here. So one of the things that he mentioned here is, um, let's see. So as a content designer, tools won't take you there. I see it all the time. Videos like I made 100 pieces of content in 10 minutes, but they aren't good. So um, he's it's just more noise at the moment outside of that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys are working on a lot of incredible stuff. I keep getting mind blown just by sometimes of the conversations is how little some people are not looking back into like what their kind of like what I would say a database is, because your database essentially is what will allow you to actually create more for your business later on with automations, AI, and things of that nature. So I think a good place where people should start. Wow, that was crazy. I think a good place where people should start in terms of um, looking at their businesses for preparing for that AI, takeover or operationally, will be creating their own databases, whether that is on a cloud storage on Google Drive and organizing that, right, keeping that together. I mean, I know for a fact it will make my life easier when I start working with people if they had stuff like that.
So one thing that I've been working on is trying to figure out the right system to grab all of my meeting content because I meet with a ton of
Mm,
people. I have for the past 6 months I've just been using Fathom because it does a really good job of summarizing, adding in all the action items, but it's not so much good for video quality or like being able to
mhm.
just add it into a place where the team can access it. I know they have a team feature. I think it's a lot more expensive than even my plan. I'm like,
Very
no,
much.
so I've never upgraded to the team feature. But I switched over to Loom AI. And so that's what my current favorite is because I can add it in a video library and it does do the video to SOPs generation. And it's just easy for like my project manager to go back and like if I have a client meeting, I can say, oh, I added it in basically the team drive. Till we lose Will to Thunder?
Oh my gosh, I hope we didn't lose him to like a hurricane.
It sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was. I didn't even check the weather in Miami. Oh my gosh.
You're muted.
You're muted. Are you
The
okay?
Yeah, we're good, we're good. I just have to close some of the windows because the lighting
Oh,
is
okay.
going crazy.
Oh no.
Um,
We're like,
Yeah, so
yeah,
like I we went through this whole thing this morning of motion because I keep hearing so much about motion and I was like and I hear about tools. I'm like, does this fit my team? Can I use it for myself to like because the way that it sounds on the outside is like it can replace your project management system. It can replace your meeting recordings. It can replace all of this stuff and just have it like transfer from the meeting, like the AI notes in the meeting into task automatically for your team. But I got into it and I was like, no, I don't think I want to use this because it just feels like a little bit fancier version of Notion, which I haven't been a fan of for bringing in a team. I like it for like organizing my ideas, but as far as team management, it just feels very cumbersome to be able to effectively manage.
interesting. Well, I don't have a full team in Notion. I have my team more in Asana, more of a project management type tool. And I've come to find that I am in love with Airtable
oh
to
yeah.
precisely hold databases. I mean, incredible tool. If you're not using Airtable for your stuff, for keeping track of databases or any sort of records, man, Google Sheets is great and all, but what a pain it can be with Google Sheets.
So don't you, I think I recall us talking before, Will, of you had something sorted out as far as your Airtable with your meeting notes, with your meeting prep.
Mhm.
Did you have that dialed in?
Yeah. So, great question. I was literally going to mention that. So Airtable, I'm using it currently precisely to hold. So I connect Fathom in order with Zapier, and then hold it in. Right now, everything actually for that is going. The main database is Notion, but then I'm sending it over to Airtable to generate the transcript and create like different types of pieces of content and ideas. But the reason I'm doing it there is because I found it that it's a lot easier to actually prompt from Airtable with connections with like um, for like different MCP servers,
Mm-hmm.
so that way I can actually like ask on Slack, for example, hey, what was the meeting that I had? So and so, give me some notes before I jump on the call with the team.
Mm-hmm.
So Zapier has been a really good tool for that. I also use Make for sending it to different areas that maybe Zapier, or I don't know how to do it with Zapier. It's missing certain things. But that so far has been a good way to just put everything in the drive in terms of like the actual files of the transcripts as PDFs to build that, like, I guess I want to call it like a mini brain of all my calls.
Yeah.
And then that's why I said like the databases are very important, whether that is like in a table database or if it is on a Google Drive specific folders, because then you give that to the AI, and then at that point not only it knows your way of communication, it knows also who the people that you're like meeting with, because obviously Fathom provides you with those very specific transcripts of who was in the meeting. Um, but it also gives you summaries and gives you ideas. So I connected both. I have a GPT that connects directly with that Google Drive, and also connected it so that I could prompt it with for meeting notes on Slack. So those are the two ways that I'm currently using it, and it's been fantastic. I can't wait to put it onto the sales, because once the sales happen for any sort of like of my services or whatever, I'll be able to actually like have the AI pull the conversations that I've had in order to like build the project.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
So
my
I'm
gosh,
working currently on that.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna copy you, Will.
Well, right. That's what I was trying to say earlier. I was like, he's dialed it in, and I forgot the exact framework that he mentioned. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, definitely take it, Heather.
So
This is
good.
where we were talking about this on our Systems for Owners call on what was it, yesterday. And remember I told you that the hardest part is going to be the person who puts together the strategy, because
Mhm.
AI can't do that like the way that you do. Not at this point. The easiest part is actually getting those things out of your strategy and putting it into your project management tool.
Well, thank you. I
That's
have a project for next week.
happy to help whenever. um, but yeah, these things are. Um, I'm using AI just to enhance my abilities to things. I was telling my wife the other day. I'm like, I need a supercomputer now, because I'm running 5 different.
Yeah.
Um, have to jump in if you want for Josh. Oh, I see we have a caller with Ross.
Oh,
Okay, yeah,
cool.
sure. Let's bring Josh in. Hey, Ross. Hey, what's up, Ross?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. You're perfect.
Hey, glad to jump in. I think Josh was having some bad internet connection,
All good. Glad to have you here.
but enjoying the conversation and definitely happy to share kind of what we're doing on Josh's team.
Yeah, sure,
So
please.
yeah, one of the things that I think on the tools is that synthetic content, video's not quite there yet. We're still testing a whole bunch of tools. There's endless tools, as you guys all know. I think there was a glut of tools that were in development, and we haven't even seen the next wave of everyone making an AI tool that you've never heard of. And I think that as far as doing it from the content side, going to your point, Will, um, about you were talking about the frameworks and what people actually need, and I think that I don't think they're ready to get advanced yet, but I think that looking for those low hanging fruit moments where you can say, okay, what are we doing? How systematic are we in the way that we operate our business? Because a lot of them, that's why they're getting operators, because they haven't even really thought, kind of super powered, esque that like, oh, I need an operator. I need somebody to look at the functions of what I'm doing and how can I do these? How can I even be aware? I think that's the first phase because a lot of people, they're not at that phase where they're looking for tools yet because I think they need that business awareness first of how they're operating. And then whether you have a team, whether you're bringing in operators, whether you're already at that phase or you haven't even thought of that phase, you really need to understand how business flows through what you're doing so that you can say, oh, here's a bottleneck right here, and what could AI do there? Is there anything that AI can bring into that? Because it could just be generative AI that's helping that. Or do you have a content designer? Are they using AI, for synthetic content? Or with Josh, one of the things um, that was a issue that I saw right up front was that when he's traveling to events and things, a lot of times he's trying to capture content, do all this. Well, I know this as a content creator and an influencer previously, that when you're at the event, everything's moving, you're really in power networking mode. And so trying to also be in content marketing mode and have someone follow you around with the camera and then, oh, am I making content or am I making a connection or are we trying to do both? And I feel like, having that ability to have synthetic content being created behind the scenes so that the footprint is very small for you. So that way, whatever you have, we can make stuff in advance. When you're going out there, we can take small amounts of assets and turn them into a lot more. I think that's a key. That's what we were doing so far, is testing all the different voice cloning tools and everything, and the little nuance in how they talk. It's like, the first time I sent them a piece of synthetic content, I did it being sneaky. I didn't tell them about it. It wasn't. I said, hey, so what do you think about that last reel? Did you like that? And it's like, I'm like, do you remember saying that? And he's like, no. And I'm like, you never said that. I'm just testing some tools here so that, when you're traveling around, that we can figure out what's good. And that was my point earlier, is that, content and personal branding, obviously, that's where, Josh focuses of using social media a lot and doing that and building the personal brand, which incubates the trust in order to do more deals, find investors, open all of that stuff up. Well, kind of our strategy there is, how do we then, if you're busy doing deals, and how do we shrink the footprint of having to create content? How do we get more out of there? And so being able to take his voice and be able to say, okay, cool, now we can go in and add to the podcast that you are on, add to the things that you are doing, say the further things when you might get 10 seconds to have that conversation, but you wanted to say more, but couldn't. It's how do we extend that content with synthetic content? So there's so many ways that this can be applied, I think, to people's business. And it's just nibbling the edges, not necessarily like knowing that there's this one tool that's going to transform your business, but how do you really take a look at your structures and be able to do more? And that's where we're kind of pushing into with social and AI.
Yeah, I totally agree with pretty much everything you said. I think the crucial part is identifying where also you create content in a natural way. Like we are always on calls, so taking that, which is usually a long form type piece of content, and then transforming it into different pieces that allow you to tell your story or tell what you're selling or tell about your business, tell about yourself. That's going to be key because it's going to be a lot of distribution of what we're going to see. Distribution and now quality of content as well. So that's where I see a lot of these going.
I think you nailed it right there. I think you brought up a great kind of organic use case that people could use, is because Josh is always telling people, document what you're doing. They ask him about like, how do I create content? What do I do? And they don't know what to do. They don't know what to make. And that can be paralyzing. And so what you just said is perfect. Like imagine AI Like already, what do we have? The note takers, right? You're recording, you're having a Zoom call, and it's already transcribing all that for you. So people think, I don't know how to use AI. I don't know anything about the tools. I don't know what to do. And it's like, you just had a transcript. Hand that transcript. If you have someone on your team creating content, that's content. That's document. Now, when you see the value of having that synthetic avatar, because then we can go over and create actual content, because we can pluck out of those conversations, because that's the stuff, that's the BTS, the behind the scenes content that people love. And you might have 5 or 6 pieces of content, but you say, well, I can't make content. I'm in meetings all day. The meetings are also content. And AI can actually, you're not having to set up a crew or anything like that and make a podcast. You're literally like, cool, I'm going to take these notes and then extract ideas for content, extract direct content. You can use it if you don't have a team yet. You can say, okay, cool. What of this? A lot of people don't know what to talk about. It's like, well, gosh, you're talking about the same 3 things on every meeting. Or, hey, that question, right? Almost think about like Gary Vee, like, Ask Gary Vee show, right? Why was that so effective? Because you instantly align with your audience, because that's what they care about. And you don't have to do the ideation to figure out what do they want to care about. So I hope I make content like that. It's like, no, just ask the question. In each of those calls, there's questions. So you simply have questions at the end, or you look at them through the transcript and say, look, here's the questions. Either A, I can make content around those, or I can literally clip those, as long as, you said it was okay with them to clip it, then you can clip those, and that actually becomes micro content. So it's like everybody's trying to figure out, how do I feed the bucket, the hungry monster that is social media, to build my personal brand, build that trust with people, and provide value. Well, that right there takes so much cognitive burden, right, off of that stack, because you no longer have to think what's relevant, what's important, what do people want to know. Bam, it's right there. And AI can help in multiple ways.
Saying that, I'm thinking over here, should I just release the automation that I have? I should put it out there. Heather, I'll give it to you and then you test it.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I think my setup for that, I have it dialed in. It's mostly for internal stuff. I haven't really started doing the content side of things. So Russ, to your point, like I think having that for different business, even if it's just building that database, building that like mini brain of your business, definitely like will help a lot of people. So yeah, thank you for that. Definitely good. A lot of good food for thought for a lot of people here, figuring out like how they're going to do their content, right? Personal brands just going to continue to explode in this a market as we get more familiar with AI.
Yeah, so just talking about all this, my next steps, because I've recorded like 6 months of Fathom videos that are just unusable. So I'm gonna go back and grab all the transcripts of those, and I'm gonna throw it into probably like Notebook LM or something, and try to pull some social media posts out of it, because I gave some gold nuggets away. It's just the video's unusable.
Yeah, I didn't
And
even
maybe,
think of that. Yeah.
yeah. And maybe like for each business that you're in, because you're in a couple different ones, or a handful of ones, I should say, maybe have a notebook LM for each one. Like, so I think on our calls for our AI Momentum Lab and stuff, I'll do the same thing and see what insights that we can glean from our conversations, because that would be great. That's a good idea. I love that.
So much conversations get wasted, and
They
we don't
do.
understand that. You'll forget the great things you said to that prospect or to that person, because you're actually practicing your business. And that's the true BTS. It's not, oh, okay, here we are at this, because that's not really providing the value. The thing that people are really curious about is, what do you actually do? What's it look like? What's that conversation look like? It reminds me of like when Grant Cardone would just have a live sales call or something. And it's like, that's the thing that people all of a sudden are perking up, because they're going, wait a minute, you can give me all these principles and I can see from the outside and you can tell me the ideas, but then you leave it all on me to execute, when I just want to be, on your shoulder and just listening to a conversation that you had and say, oh, wow. And that's where the real nuggets come out. And I think I agree, parsing that out to, find the questions, find the stuff that you're doing. And you don't have to, when you're saying the video might not be ready to, I'm a creative director at heart. So it's like, and a content designer. So it's like, I'm thinking formats, I'm thinking all these things. What can we make out of everything? And it's like, one of the things that you can do with that is put it right into audio. You can even clone your voice, even if it was an audio. Maybe it was, you have the audio, let's say it was good or it was bad, whatever. But you can make audiograms of that. And that's where you go, oh, but the video's not there. Oh, I don't want to have to film something. Again, it's always about, with content creation, I find it's always about the barriers to creating content. And what I try and do is, as a strategist, find what are the different formats? What are the different ways we can take something that was not useful and turn it into something that's useful? And that's what they've done in industries, right? Like look in the industrial industries. They say, oh, okay, well, we're making this and we have these leftover stuff we were throwing away. And it's like, wait, we can sell these to this other industry and get some profits back for it. And that's what we have to do with our energy and our effort and our time, is look at and say, okay, what am I already doing as a growth hacker? I love to stack value. And I'm saying, how do I take this 1x and turn it into a 3x? What can I take from there and just put it in? I mean, that's kind of like automation, right? With Make or anything, which I'm just playing with. I was a influencer for If This Then That back way early in the days when it first came out.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I got my If This Then That plaid socks that they sent me. I was like, oh, hey. And I couldn't find the one sock, and I'm a sock collector. So I'm like, I got one plaid sock. What am I going to do with this? But no, I think that's where people are starting to get right now, where they're saying, what is the little system that I can make, right? Good name, obviously, good branding. I'm a branding guy. What can I make? Is I want to go here, and then it's going to go from here and wash it over here in GPT, and then I want to bring it back here, send it to this spreadsheet. And then when I see tools like that, I'm already creatively thinking, okay, that's what everybody's doing, but how can I take that input somewhere else in a different tool that no one even thought of and create a new output for a tool that doesn't exist? And that's what I used to do. I was a tools nerd in social media early on in social. And I would just find weird combinations that nobody, I was doing fully automated RSS feeds. Like now, today's the modern faceless YouTube channels. I was doing that like faceless automated socials back in the day for different targeted industries, just to see if I could figure out how to build audiences and targeted audiences. And so I was playing with a lot of stuff there. And of course you make your mistakes and you learn, but I think the new tools now, I'm like, oh my goodness. I kind of went away from that as I got more into the design side and videography and all this. And then now I'm coming back to the automation and going, wow, this is just going to the amount of tools that are available. Everyone's looking for a tool that can do the in thing, but you don't have to think that way, especially now because they're just seeing what it can do. It's novelty. Mm-hmm. What a person should do is just understand, what do I want to do? Not, is there a tool that can do it? Is there a tool that, can I get to know these tools and say, what can this tool do? How can I take it from that bucket and put it in a different bucket and do something else? And by the time I have this ricochet effect, I'm like, ooh, look what I made. It does cool stuff, and nobody out there is doing it.
Yeah.
I think some of the a good amount of people is they think that they need more time in order to explore these tools. In reality, you only need about 20 minutes a day, to be honest. Just download the thing. A lot of these are free as well. So getting the adoption for people that hear about it. There's still people today that don't know what ChatGPT is, guaranteed.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me like 3 weeks ago. I was like, what?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So one thing that we have, obviously one thing that we do have actually is knowledge on different softwares. Like, think about it. Like, well, Heather, it's a wizard when it comes to like coding. Of course, she develops freaking software, so of course she knows a bunch of tools. But on the marketing side, from at least my agency, I had probably tested, not less than 100 tools for sure that I've gone in and out, that I have actually gone through, learned how to use it and decide whether it's a good tool or not. So that gives us a little bit of an advantage because, it's crazy. A lot of people are asking like, oh, where do I change my profile image on Slack? And it's like, well, if if you don't know, it's because you have never used something like that. It's not. It's just simply you never explore anything inside the tool. Like you're too afraid to click on it or something, right? And I have found people are actually just they just don't like technology. So the advantage that we currently have is that we know all these different softwares, and we're able to utilize it to like either connect the dots on how to use them, because we have had to in order to like build something. So right now, this is like a good era to be either an integrator or somebody that is really technical, obviously, because we get to have fun through all these stuff that are coming out.
I
Yeah,
think
and
you
I
hit.
mean, go
Oh,
ahead,
go
sorry.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's exciting to play around in the technology if you're somebody that's like that, because then you realize how you can leverage it to to create a lot of just getting things done, and it just helps you across the board. And when you get something to work and it actually produces at mass and you're like, wow, I just 10x 100x my effort, you're like, every moment I spent in there figuring it out, poking around, and I do better just trying to figure it out on my own and then looking it up when I get stuck. Like that's the way that I tend to learn, and it gets sticky for me. And then it's like, well, that's definitely worth it because every moment I spend in there, I'm getting infinite time back. And so I think, Will, you also have shared that too. You've said, and actually, I think you're the one that helped me reframe that. You're like, it was either you or I don't know. I've had so many conversations, but I'm pretty sure it was you. You were like, don't look at it this way because you're getting all this time back. Just keep messing around in there and figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
But it's,
Help.
it's definitely worth it. And that's what helps keep me like not getting frustrated and actually getting it through it and saying, look, and it does help me rule things in and rule things out because you can make a better decision about what it is that you need. And then I'm more open to trying new tools because I feel like I can move around them fairly easy and quickly figure out what I like and what I don't like. So yeah, I agree. I encourage everybody just, just play around and see if
Yeah,
it works for you.
that was
That's.
one of our first
Oh, go ahead.
conversations when we were. Sorry, Ross. That was one of the first conversations that we had. I was like, I think the conversation was around which one is the best tool to use, like for
Mm-hmm.
overall.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I looked at it is like, well, every like it's not right now AI is not going to be like that unless Heather decides to build like a Manus or something that like does everything for you. Um, but Manus is the closest thing to like getting it to do multiple things, and it makes decisions in terms of like depending on what you gave it, right? Um, but no AI right now unless you have Mr. Wonderful type of money. I don't think no AI right now is going to do everything in like one go, right? Like AIs have different features, different functionalities. That's why there's so many models as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so if you look at the AIs, LLMs and all these different tools, even AI agents, right? They have a specific thing that they do, and they do that one thing really well. That's okay. That's a tool, right? What's the next tool? And then you kind of like start building your tool stack, pretty much understanding that that's the way that they work. Eventually they're all going to connect anyways. That's why again MCP servers are a thing where you give tooling to an LLM. You give them a position. So one thing that I'm working on is precisely figuring out like once I close a deal is who in my AI team handles what, right? So that infrastructure also is going to be very important for whenever we are building like AI systems, like integrating AI systems into somebody's business, is understanding like which part of the process that one specific agent works on. So thinking it like that, also like an org chart type of style, makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
For the nerdy people, everybody else like wait, that's a big point is to have process thinking, because I think that's good for everybody. Some
Mhm.
people already have that. The architects already have that. The analytical people already have that. But I think in business, I think there's a lot of people who don't have process thinking. They don't see that as a pillar in their business that they have to start cultivating because they think I need AI or I'm going to be left behind. But actually, I would say before that, you need process thinking about your business, because once you get that type of, technical people already kind of think that way. But if you're non-technical, you don't think that way at all. When do you need that? You're even when you're doing tasks, you're doing all these processes, you're just not aware of visually mapping that out and seeing what you're doing from a process standpoint, from a functional standpoint, from a framework standpoint. And once you start thinking in that way, then you're going to understand how to integrate AI, because AI is going to give you a better process, a better node in the chain of, oh, well, if I put this here, I will stop the friction in that. Oh, I could replace this whole leg of things by building this system out with that. Like, I think that for a lot of people, they're not thinking that way. And you made a great point earlier about playing around, because if people think, well, I want the output, I don't think at this time in AI that's the way to go. I think for most people, because they're already not into that space, or maybe they're not technical, the only way you're really going to understand is you've got to play with the tools and go, oh, and you got to press buttons. It's so counterintuitive. I got to press buttons. I don't know what it does.
Yeah.
I'm going to type something in here. I don't know what I'm typing. Okay, cool. Make me a cat with 3 eyeballs. I don't know. Who cares? Because that's the part that everybody with ChatGPT, right? Everybody got it with generative AI. The minute they had a conversation, like, when's the last time then you went back and Googled things? Like, the minute you had that conversation and you go, oh, wait. Oh, and then it said this, and then I said this back to it. And then I'm talking to AI, and like, oh, and the outputs are different than a list of things to go look for. The old search gave us a direction to go to find resources. Generative AI and that bridge between that and search, and where everyone got introduced to generative AI, was the fact that it would go figure out the answer and bring it back to you, not tell you where to go get the answer. That was the big difference between a search era going into the AI era. And that's going to evolve so much more, I think, into other functionality as agentic AI and everything comes into this.
Yeah, and to that search point, and early on, and I think a lot of people notice this early on, you go out and typically people would trust a search result, right? A Google search result. And then when they started noticing there's this hallucination effect, and it was like, well, and I started noticing it right off the bat, because I use it in talent acquisition in a lot of my scenarios. And so it was coming back, and I'm like, well, that's not really true. They don't really have a PhD. Like, it just added it because it seemed relevant and appropriate and to be true. And so then if you think about that, to where, you still have to run it through some kind of filter, and you still have to be able to discern and like figure it out. But at the same time, the hallucination always isn't a bad thing, right? So if you're a creative, yes, please hallucinate, right? Create some amazing things for me. But if you're doing something that's more fact-based, you have to be a little bit careful about it. But it does change the way that we interact, because I honestly cannot. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was thinking, I was like, when's the last time I Googled something? And it was because I needed an address, or no, I needed the hours at Costco. That was it. It wasn't like, I'm not going to go to ChatGPT and be like, what time does Costco open today? But that's the only thing I typically go to Google for, is to see business hours. So
That's crazy. Yeah, that is true. That
yeah.
is true.
Yeah.
The other day, it's funny. The other day, my water heater broke, and the first after I closed and everything, I'm like, I wonder what ChatGPT would say if I ask it, what do I do now? And I just did it for the laughs, I guess. But I took pictures. I'm like, let me see what this response took pictures and everything. And it literally, its response is, yeah, you gotta call your landlord. That's broken. So I was like, okay, so it clearly understands my language now, because that's something that I would say.
Yeah.
I would tease myself like that, I guess. On the hallucination thing, it also, I've noticed that it is really good at manipulating you.
Oh yeah.
I will say about 2 weeks ago, my business partner on the agency side, he started asking, he felt really proud of himself because he started asking Chad to build this, like, I guess you could say some sort of like a dashboard for the business. Um, and ChatGPT was telling it like, oh yeah, I'm give me 2 days, I'll build it. I'll build it for you, and then I'll send you an email with the with the results. And well, he came to find out after he tells me the story, and he's like, bro, you're gonna laugh at me. Like, dude, I did the stupidest thing. And then when he tells me the story, I'm like, yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. So he sent me the thread. I'm like, send me the thread. I want to see what this thing told you. Like, that's so interesting. And as I was reading, yeah, the entire way it was just taking him into this, like, it's going to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So it manipulates you, and you don't even know it if you don't know. So I do see one of the reasons why I stick with Google still, or something like a Perplexity, for example, for my search,
Oh, yeah.
is because of that. Because I don't believe 100% of what ChatGPT says, precisely because of the hallucination.
Yeah. Well, and I've tried to troubleshoot things like take screenshots. So I'll flip between Grok, Perplexity, it just depends on what it is. And I do trust Perplexity the most because it brings back, so it'll look at, like Go high level articles, or it'll look at Reddit, or look whatever. And it's bringing you back those sources in like a more meaningful way than other platforms are bringing back sources. And it just feels a little bit more like this is probably the answer. Right. So yeah, I love Perplexity for that, for sure. But the other thing that chat does, it's you're like, I have this idea. Like if you just start talking, like you're like talking to your friend, I have this idea. Oh my gosh, you're so smart. That's a great idea. Brilliant. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. Thanks.
Yeah, I did. I had to actually kind of deprogram it from that because it was doing the same. Because I was like, we were having a deep conversation. I wanted to see how smart it was. I'm like, you're a super intelligence. I would love to have this type of conversation that maybe I can't have with, my friend I went to high school with or something. Like, I want to take me to a new level, which people underestimate the use of AI for. That is that as I dug into it, it kept mirroring back, because in its attempt to try and be conversational and human, which is really the underpinning programming that's affecting these hallucinations and also the attribution model, right? Like, so I had to ask it a couple questions. First thing I said, stop mirroring me, because it kept going, oh, and repeating back to me. So yes, you're right with a quantum entanglement, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, half the time, because I was testing the free model, so I couldn't interrupt it. And then I'm like, you're going to go on and just repeat everything I just said to you. And then I'm looking for what you think, because you're the super intelligence. I want to gauge, the level of thought here. And so so I told it to stop mirroring me. And if you don't, just say what you have to say, because it will do that. Going to your point, it'll say, oh, you're so smart and all this and that. And instantly you're like, I like you already. I'm like, you are totally working the crowd here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it also has to, if the one thing I will caveat about even Perplexity is better because at least it cites sources, and attribution is what Google search, right? The algorithm and the SEO industry has been working on. You hope you can trust that out of 1 million websites that these are the top 10, even though people are gaming it. The thing is that you think that it's going through and reading every article that this person ever wrote, and it read all medical, documents and all this. And I'm like, yeah, this is where it gets so good, because I don't want to do all that. It doesn't. So right. I did drill down and ask it, well, how many sources are you picking up? And it's like 3 or 5. And I'm like, how did you vet those sources and all that? So even though it does give you the attribution model, it's not reading 10,000 articles before it tells you the true answer of how do I create a better hook for my Instagram reel. Like it might have just read 2 articles and you're like, how good were those articles? And so I think there's a lot of room, and I hope that that's what Google, I hope, takes and transfers from all of their experience with search and trying to vet the information, that I hope that converts into, these different, models as far as vetting because I think there's a lot more, because obviously for compute power, they don't want to go read 10,000 articles and give you the ultimate answer of all answers. They want to read the least amount for resources as possible. So you have to kind of train the AI and say, okay, go look at 10 articles, go look at these 15. That's one of the interesting kind of ideas, I think, behind like Poppy AI and just from a functional standpoint is like, I can pull in the database I want. And I haven't played that much with Notebook LM, but now after even this conversation, I keep meaning to go check it out, and I'm like,
Definitely do.
I think I got to do it.
You're gonna
Because
love
the
it.
fact that you could put a little box and say, here, I'll vet the information because I still am the expert at what I'm wanting information on. Let me put those 10 top things, and now let's talk about that. Now give me I want to see what you see that I don't see, basically, from those 10.
Yeah, I will say the chat feature has made some improvements. So it's
Mhm.
basically sectioned into 3 spots, right? You bring your resources in there. So whether it's a YouTube video, a website, text, whatever it is that you've put in there. And in the free version, you can put up to 50. And then there's the middle that's like the interactive chat that goes with it. Now, it has a little bit to go. It's getting a little bit better, but I don't have the paid version yet. Well, do you have the paid version? You have the
Yeah.
So it's dramatically better. Is it worth it to get the paid version? Would you say?
Well, I have it through Workspace,
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of just decided to use it because I'm already paying for it, and
Mhm.
I have had nothing but good things to say about it. The chat version does have some ways to go, but the way that I'm using it is more for not to create things, but more like consulting it within the resources. And using it that way has given me really good results. In the ideation side of things, I actually prompt the podcast, and I talk to them because then for some reason, they provide me better ideas. The only downside of doing that is that it doesn't really transcribe that. So you kind of like, as you're talking to this fictitious,
Yeah.
voice, you can, I'm taking notes. I'm asking it questions about the articles or the information that I'm giving it, and I'm literally writing out notes or typing in whatever the case may be. But yeah, the chat is cool, but I use it only to like questions that come up from the conversation with the AI. I start typing questions or information out to like ask my follow-up questions so that the voice can actually be the one to respond to me. I've found that dynamic to be quite productive, honestly, because you have
Mhm.
two people. It's two people in the podcast, so like
Yeah.
both give you different perspectives. So it's like, oh, okay, it sounds like a cool test to do, for example.
In the deep dive.
And the
Can
deep
you
dive, yeah.
can you
The deep dive.
define who those people, what kind of people they are, or their attributes and stuff that you're
Male and
having this
female.
conversation with?
The
No, so these are more. Oh, sorry, April, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, the people that you talk to are like predefined already. I'm sure in the future they might, but one thing that I do is ask it to act as one of my buyer personas, and then I start talking to that AI. But it something shifts from being the buyer persona to just being back into the host mode. So it's a give it or take pretty much. Where compared to like ChatGPT's voice and the one that I'm excited for is Gemini voice.
Mm.
Um, I think those are going to be a lot more to play the role of the buyer persona that you give it more than Notebook LM because that one is still in beta. These others are already, they already came out.
Something you can do too, just going into my old mind of hacking the systems, is you could also, I don't know how it's set up, but maybe you could run it through and do a Zoom call and then get the transcription. You said you didn't get the thing, and then you get the automatic transcription for your whole conversation too. So
Hmm,
if you have, a lot of times
that's a
there's
good one.
add-ons where you can get transcriptions from that. So it's like you could just make a fake call,
Yeah,
run it
yeah,
through
that's a good,
OBS or something
that's a
through
good
your
hack, dude.
camera, and then
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
transcript, and then you got the transcript too. Nobody could stop me from not having a feature. I'll make it.
Next time, show up in a black hoodie.
Yeah, exactly. I like to keep it gray. Let's keep it gray here, people.
Awesome. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of like and the pod today is I have been diving deep into Reddit and going into the different subreddits for ChatGPT or like this AI stuff, and it's just pure comedy in there. But it's just so funny like what people are posting there.
Yeah.
But in a way, it also tells me what people are actually using it for at a grand scale, right? So I started thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to um, scrape the crap out of Reddit pretty much, and then see what kind of products I can come up with. Um, why? Because there are certain products that are already thought about, and maybe this will help you guys as well with like the things that you're planning. Is validation um, on what do you call it? On like maybe some ideas that you have had.
Mhm.
So I'm creating that process of scraping through all of the different Reddit postings and then just like adjusting it to either my clients or adjusting it for like products. So I wanted to know if you guys have thought of things like that, for example.
I get a lot of that on X. So based on the people that I follow, a lot of it, I go there first. And actually, Heather and I had this conversation this morning. I said, I feel like I get a lot more fringe information based on the people that I follow that are in AI that aren't necessarily have a million followers, but they're posting like, look how cool this is. Look at what I just did. And so that's the first place I go to look for stuff. And that's how I end up going down rabbit holes. And yeah, I mean, that'd be amazing. I mean, we can scrape socials like that. And that's a great idea. And I mean, Reddit's a great place for that. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say on that.
I'm in Reddit every day, and there's always hilarious content in there.
Yeah.
It's so great. Like if anybody isn't on Reddit, it's a great place to really keep in tune with an industry. Like
Mhm.
I'm in several different groups, and it's just cool. It's where you can find your people. But then there's also a certain comedic level that goes along with Reddit, and it kind of goes like across the subreddits too.
Yeah, I
Very
think
cool.
I haven't played on Reddit that much. It's just a platform I hadn't. It's just sitting out there. It's there. It's like a dog that's kind of walking by. You're like, I know you're there. Are
Mhm.
you good or bad dog? Um,
Mhm.
but I would say from to Will's point, I think that it's really about ideation. You were talking about validation, stuff like that. And I think it's kind of that space where if you're scraping it, of course, the analytical, at scale, we're going to do this. And then, we're going to go in and I could do my keyword search. I could look at this, or I could drop it into AI and start having a conversation with about anything new, interesting. Like AI getting the data can be the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you could actually have that and create that conversation. And really it's about saying what's out there, right? Because that's everything, right? Every social media platform, it's how do I sift through, whether you're doing it by following, April, certain people, you're just sifting information. And I think that's the part at the end of the day, same with Reddit and with Will. I think it's how do I sift that information? How do I find the gold nuggets out there? How do I extract that out of the world? AI, that's what that we have conversations with AI. It's the same thing. Oh, well, I like this one. Oh, I like Perplexity for doing this. Why? Because you can extract better information. What is Google search? Extracting information out of a pool, right? We all want our brain's functionality from a neuroscience standpoint is right. It wants to ignore, just like the human eye, most, and find the one thing to focus on, and that becomes our experience, is a bunch of moving focuses, right? And so it's the same thing when we're dealing with information, when we're dealing with our business. We want to figure out, that's why I said you got to look at yourself first. You got to understand the processes first. You got to know where to look. What is your business doing? How can technology help me do that better? And I think that's figuring, it's all sifting information faster, hopefully, and more efficiently.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, guys, I want to close with this. I think we asked this question last time. What is a tool that you're currently using, and why you're using it? What gets you excited about that at the moment? April, can you start?
Sure. Yeah. So I've actually gone back in and explored Lindy again. I like have this love-hate relationship with Lindy. I don't know
Me
what it
too.
is because I keep paying for credits and I'm like, I want to use these credits and I want to make this work. Um, so I would say probably Lindy and then Relevance AI are the two that I'm messing around with the most to just kind of, when I wish I had more time to spend more time in these two places, but I am spending some time in there. And so when I have the opportunity to do that, that's where I'm playing around trying to figure things out and just get the process down or get the concept or architect it in some way to solve these business problems that we have that we're delivering, either in, workshop or one-on-ones with people. But those are the two places that I'm spending the most time.
Very cool.
Hmm.
Heather, you want to go next?
Yeah, for me, I am finally getting into N8N. So I'm gonna get in and
Yes.
master this
It's so good.
because it seems like it just opens up a whole new world, like beyond Zapier, beyond Make. And so like figuring it out and figuring out how I can, how you have snapshots and go high level and like you can like push things forward really quickly if you already have it built out. I feel like the same is possible in an 8N. It's just figuring out what's the business use cases, what can we kind
Yep.
of wrap as in the gift wrap and tie it with a bow and hand to somebody and then have them be able to be that much more productive in their business.
Totally. Totally agree. Ross,
Build
what
that
about
server
you?
out, that N8N server for efficiency.
I, boy, I'm a little all over the place with that. We are focusing on building out the synthetic content, so I'm just digging into a bunch of avatar generation, Hey Jan, different things. We're going through a whole. I'm very methodical, so I don't like just pick a couple and go through them. I feel like I have the need because one may do one thing good and other things terrible that I got to know like, do I wash it in this and then put it in the next tool? So I'm doing a deep dive on that and voice cloning to really get that from the content standpoint. We just brought on Poppy AI, and I don't know I know it's a skin of functionality, but people are like, oh, it's only a skin, and I'm like, no, user interface like matters, right? UX matters. So like I don't know what it can and can't do yet, both for learning briefs and
Mhm.
for internal planning and stuff like that. So I'm gonna play with that functionality and see. And then now I gotta go. I gotta get over there at Notebook because just from what you guys were talking about, I'm like, oh, I'm already seeing just a little on the fringe. I'm like, okay, I need to get over there and see what that's doing because obviously if it's got that functionality, it's going to just keep expanding. And so it's kind of about where do you want to,
Mhm.
you could go to a little tool that two guys in the Netherlands are making, or you can go to a big tool and it's got funding, it's going to be integrated, it's going to be more feature rich. And so you can't really ignore those type of tools. And so I think I've definitely got to get over there and start playing more with that too.
Definitely. So great. I mean, first of all, Heather, you're gonna have a blast on internet. I've been working through it for the past 2 weeks, and at the beginning, it's a little slow, but then once you get the rhythm of it, it's like fantastic. I really enjoy NNN. And the cool thing is combining them. Zapier does this one thing really good, and then you combine it with Make that does this other thing really good, and then NNN. So I am actually this weekend going to be doing the NNN local server. So
Mm.
I'm very excited for that because I'm planning on using it like a lot. The other tool that I'm really excited for that I started testing recently is GenSpark. It's another AI agent, very similar to I would say pretty competitive with Manus in terms of like the AI agent or the AI agentic space. Um, I created an entire presentation for my team for another one of my insight calls on our process for our sprints because I needed to do a refresher and this thing coded everything for me. I just gave it like literally the exact process, exact blueprint, and then it coded everything. He gave it like entire branding and everything. So immediately the bulb exploded in my head, and I'm like, oh my god, I can create websites pretty much for proposals and get them up really quickly, or landing pages for the team whenever we're running ads, for example. So really cool tool. Definitely recommend it.
Awesome. It's just also exciting. It's also like I feel like I don't want to sleep sometimes.
I
So like
know.
it's crazy.
I'm over here trying to wake up at 4 a.m. every
Yeah.
morning so I can like do as much as I can. And then the nighttime comes and then I'm over here like I don't want to go to bed. I want to continue.
Yes.
You gotta
It's
keep that
ridiculous.
routine.
It's our
Yeah,
toxic trait.
I know, right? I know. All right, guys. Well, um, thank you for obviously this amazing. I love this conversation. AI Hotline here on Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Um, Eastern time. So please join us in the future and see you in the next one.